I like to show you where the resume handbook is. It's become um, just a 2-click deal now, which is really great. So if you're at westerntc.edu and then click programs right under the URL and then scroll down, then you'll see the link to career services. You'll just click that little box that turns red and you're there. So students can email us at careerservices@westerntc.edu to ask any job seeking questions or to get help with their resume. We've been amazingly, like hugely busy lately with a lot of resume assignments. But even if you're nearing graduation or as an alum, you can get help through career services with your job search or your resume. Phone number if you need to make an appointment. And here is our resume handbook link. So I'm going to go right there. We do print these to take into classrooms when there's no COVID going on, but now due to COVID, everyone's using the resume handbook online version. And what I'm going to do today is just kind of give you an overview on how to do an effective resume. And we're going to talk probably for about 4 minutes on cover letters. So in our handbook, there's several pages that can help you to understand the concept behind a resume. It's meant to be your marketing tool. So you choose what you're going to put on your resume. And a lot of people ask, well, how far back should I go with my work history? 10 years is the usual, how far you go back. If an employer wants to see more of your work history beyond 10 years, then they ask for that in the job application. So on your resume, you don't have to go back further than 10 years unless it benefits you. Remember that your resume is your marketing tool. So that means you're putting on your resume the things that are going to prove or demonstrate that you have the skills and abilities that they're looking for in the job opening. And nowadays, because jobs are so competitive, especially the higher level skilled jobs that you're going to be shooting for once you have a degree, they're more competitive. So that means you need to tailor your resume to the job opening. That is like the #1 resume rule, and you want to make sure that you do that. And I'm going to describe how that is done. So the resume that you see on your screen right now, John P. Walker's resume, is a chronological resume. That means that the focus is on the work experience. And you'll see that he has a nice work experience section where he bolds the job title, puts the name of the company and the location where he worked previously. And you always start with most recent first for the most part. Now, what I want you to notice or learn about his resume is he did put it in the order that sells him the best. He has a summary of qualifications, and if you decide to create a summary of qualifications on your resume, you want to make sure that it is a well-rounded summary of why you feel qualified for the position that you're applying for. Now I want you to notice, we're looking at this summary of qualifications. The job posting that he's applying for went something like this. We're looking for someone with experience in the manufacturing industry who has a degree in marketing and sales and customer service experience. So he summarizes that in his summary of qualifications, and he mentions his strengths. His education stands out because he bolded it. And his job titles are bolded too, which prove that he has the customer service experience that they're looking for. And then there's generally an other section at the bottom of a resume. You create the heading based on what kinds of accomplishments you've had in your lifetime that you want to share with this employer. And only that bottom other section doesn't really have to relate to the job opening. It can be just achievements or community involvement that you're proud of. A lot of employers like to see what else you do besides school and work. And that's what that bottom or other section is about. So we're going to look at a few other resumes too. The next one that I'm showing you is a functional or a skills-based resume. And this one, the emphasis is on the skills. A lot of our students use this type of resume or a skills resume because they don't have the work experience that they need to land the job that they're shooting for. They've got the education and they don't have the experience yet. And so creating a qualifications section like Helen did here that has some subheadings can help certain skills stand out. For her, she's going to be an office manager. That's what an administrative professional is. That's the name of our program that has to do with being an office manager. Office managers need software knowledge, records management, and customer service skills. So she created these subheadings on purpose to help those skills stand out on her resume. And then the bullet points under each of those subheadings are written in a way that proves that she has the skills and abilities that you're seeing there. For instance, maintain detailed records for all store accounts with a major wholesale supply company. That one bullet point tells you 3 things about how she has records management skills. The way that she words it literally proves that she has those skills and capabilities. Now, if she would have just said, maintained records, it wouldn't be telling you a whole lot, right? So you want to create bullet points that are descriptive of your skills in a prove it sort of manner. Now, in the interest of time, I am going to show you one other skills resume, and there's a lot of different samples in here, and you can pick and choose from different sections to help you sell your skills and abilities. The most important thing is that you put these headings in the order that sells you the best. Devin here created a resume that is also considered a skills resume. But instead of creating a summary of qualifications like Helen did, he actually created, he expanded his education section so that he could show the skills that he's learned here at the college. And then he created a computer experience section because he has a lot of computer experience that he wants to share, and it's part of getting the job. They want somebody with computer experience. And then he was able to fit all of his information on one page by putting his past work history that's not really related to the job opening in one statement for each job. So it saves space. No need to put a bunch of bullets for experience that's not related to the job opening. See? Next, I want to talk a little bit about cover letters. And if you scroll far enough down in our handbook, you'll find that there is an excellent cover letter example. See, there's pages for action verbs for bullet points. We have a lot of really good information in our handbook. I encourage you to check it out. The cover letter example does a really good job of demonstrating or showing you or telling you actually what you need to say in your cover letter. It gives you ideas. So a cover letter you keep to one page as well. Resumes and cover letters pretty much one page nowadays. If you have a lot of experience and you need 2 pages, you need to fill 2 pages. Cover letters always one page. You should be able to summarize why you feel qualified for the position in your cover letter. Another thing I want to emphasize is the importance of making sure that both your cover letter and your resume demonstrate your experience, your education, and your strengths. Those are the 3 things that employers are looking for. So as long as you speak to that in your cover letter, you're doing a good job. Another thing that students struggle with is their sales pitch. On this cover letter that I'm showing you, I'm not going to tell you what to say exactly, but I want you to realize that the first paragraph is your intro, and it gives you ideas of what you can say for your intro here. The last paragraph is your closure. Don't spend a lot of time on the intro or the closure. You got to tell them why you're writing, and then you need to have a closure statement. But the only reason this last paragraph is so big is it's giving you a lot of ideas on what you can say. It's the middle paragraph that you really need to put your time into. That middle paragraph or paragraphs, it could be 2 paragraphs in the middle, where you emphasize why you feel qualified for the position. You describe your experience, you describe your education, where you're at with your education, and you describe any strengths or things that you've been complimented for while you were in college or in past jobs. So, and I want you all to know, yes, some employers say, well, I never look at cover letters. Well, there's other employers that look at cover letters and say, whoa, I want to meet this person. This cover letter is so friendly and it does such a good job of giving me a picture of the background of this person that I want to interview them. And I've been on several hiring teams. I can tell you that a good cover letter can really make a difference as to whether you get an interview or not. Yes, the resume is important, but the cover letter is too. Okay, next I'm going to turn it over to Eric Jacobson. He's Western's public relations specialist. Eric?
Thank you very much here. Let me see if I can.
I gotta stop sharing.
Yeah, there we go. Let's see if I can get sharing here. Can everyone see my PowerPoint presentation right now? I'm seeing some nods, so I'll go ahead. So as I mentioned, my name is Eric Jacobson. I'm the public relations specialist at Western. So that means I work in media relations at the college. And I am also the account administrator for our social media channel. So if you follow any of Western's social media, I am the administrator. I usually organize the content, write out the stuff, and schedule the postings that you see every day with regards to Western's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn, which is what I'll talk a little bit about here as it relates to the job search. So I just kind of pulled off some of these statistics that I saw this morning that I thought were really, really interesting. So social media, as you can imagine, is extremely important, especially in the job search. The good rule of thumb that I always felt like when I was looking for jobs is that you should always assume that those employers are looking at your social media accounts. And really the data backs that up. So I just saw this morning, a 2018 Career Builder survey found that 70% of employers used social media to screen candidates during the hiring process. 70%. That means that when you are looking for a job, they are looking at your social media. They are finding ways to look you up even before you send the resume and cover letter to these places. So the same survey actually found that 43% of employers use social media to check on current employees. So even if you are currently employed, they're still looking at activity on your social media account. So always be aware of what you're seeing on what you see on social media here. I just want to check the chat here. Make sure I have that up just in case we do get questions as well. So the big three are LinkedIn, especially with regards to the job search. LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Those are the three big social media accounts. So we'll talk a little bit about those. And think of this in general terms here, as your LinkedIn is your online extension of your resume. It's almost like a living document that lives online. Facebook and Twitter, however, with regards to that job search, are really about the insight into your personality outside of work, almost like the cover letter in a way. So when you think about it, LinkedIn is more professional, as you guys would know. Facebook and Twitter, obviously more about your personal use or what you do in your personal life. So with regards to that job search, getting on LinkedIn is key. If you are not on LinkedIn yet, I would highly, highly recommend that you do so. And if you have a resume but not have LinkedIn, use the resume as your guideline going forward to kind of flesh out some more details. You can even include more there on your LinkedIn site than you would on your actual physical resume that you would hand to employers. always keep it updated and always build
It's
connections
just the most generic
with
word
employers and
for
friends.
a spiritual
So the
being.
key is
So you could
finding
easily say,
coworkers that you're interested in. And I'm hearing some feedback. I don't know. I'm just remind everyone to mute their mics here as we go forward. The key is to build connections with your coworkers, past employers, and friends. So what I usually do, I try to go every day on LinkedIn, and I try to, whether it's update my content or I update my resume, or I try and add connections, whether that's employees and coworkers at Western that I connect with, or it's past employers, or it's people from college, or just personal friends. I really want to make sure that my network is going out as far as it can, because more people see my LinkedIn, more people will be able to see the content that I'm creating. And the more connections you make, it can end up helping you down the road. It's not something that I'm thinking like, wow, I'm going to get some big, job opportunity tomorrow because of the connections that I made. But it's really important to keep connected with your coworkers and your friends, and even people that you might be interested in learning more about it as a company. So one thing too that I would like to mention, whether you are a student right now or you're working somewhere currently, is don't forget to actually post content. That's something that I actually haven't done, that I didn't do for the longest time, and I started doing here in the last couple of years. Is really creating content helps you deliver work to those new audiences. Those posts get shared out on LinkedIn. It's just like every other social media site. The more people see it, the more outside of your network people see it. And it's really helps some people see the stuff that you do on a daily basis. So this isn't a big picture, but this is one of the last posts that I've done. I like to write content for the La Crosse Tribune on behalf of Western Technical College. And I always share that work because it's highly visible to the community. I always share it on my LinkedIn page, and I always add like a little blurb about, here I said, really proud to work at Western. Our academic staff have been working really hard to get students through the fall term here. And in the article is about how our classes kind of sped up in the fall term to help students get through. But it's always something that is interesting that I can kind of point back to and show people, what am I doing on a daily basis in my job? And they can even see some of the work that I'm actually physically doing. It's not even just telling you what I'm doing, I'm showing you what I'm doing. And if you're interested in a job or company, most likely they're having a LinkedIn page. So feel free to follow them. I know so I'm also the account administrator for Western, and I'll post content similar to what I would do on my personal page, but I also post our job listings. And and you know this, but employers are looking for people on LinkedIn. And I've actually had people reach out to me via LinkedIn about job opportunities. So if you're interested in learning more about a company, go online on your LinkedIn account and follow them as well, because it's just as valuable to kind of engage with them there as it would be actually physically turning in a resume or a cover letter for a specific job that you have in mind. So what to avoid, I wanted to include this really quick. So it's about kind of switching gears to kind of your personal account. The advice that I've learned over time is don't delete your entire your personal Facebook account, but do clean it up if you are concerned about things that might be on there. And do keep in mind, however, that deleting posts doesn't mean that it's gone forever. But if you are worried or always assuming, going kind of back to my earlier advice about whether employees are looking at your social media content, always just assume and always think that in your mind. Do you want your employer to see what you just posted? Is it okay? Is it appropriate for what someone might see? Is someone going to take offense to something that I posted on there? And the biggest posts that I found online, and they're kind of obvious, but I just want to say them out loud. Post to avoid inappropriate photos, videos, or information, drinking or using drugs, or discriminatory comments related to race, gender, and religion. And I wanted to point this out too. This is Fox Valley Technical College. I don't have a news article to put up there, but an individual was using their Facebook or Twitter. I can't remember. It might have even been LinkedIn. I'm not sure where it was, but they were kind of saying discriminatory remarks against a particular religion. And the Fox Valley, the organization fired him for content that he posted just because it violated their social media policy. So please keep that in mind when you are posting online. Be careful, especially when it comes to political or current events and stuff. just be careful about what you're posting. You always just want to make sure that you keep it appropriate for work. If you wouldn't say it out loud at work, you probably maybe shouldn't post it online. And that is all I have for my presentation. But it sounds like, according to Stephanie, we'll have questions at the end. But I do want to throw in one quick plug. If you are looking for kind of current work, I don't know who's eligible for work study. Our marketing department is looking for work study in social media. So if you're really interested in actually getting some work experience, maybe in social media, our marketing department, you'd work directly with me actually. We're looking for an individual who would be interested in helping us generate content for Western social media accounts. So, and we're also looking at starting up a TikTok account for those of you that are familiar with that. So please feel free to, I've left my email there if you're interested in that, and put these skills to the test and see if your resume or your cover letter or your LinkedIn account hold up to the test at job hiring process already. But I will hand it off to our next presenter. I'm not sure who is next.
Thanks so much, Eric. We are going to have Organic Valley join the call. So Danny and Caitlin, are all three of you available to join? There we go.
I needed to unmute. There we go. So this is Zoom, right? At the co-op, we've used some Skype, some Teams, some Zoom, just trying to keep it all straight sometimes. All right, so thanks for having us. Looks like there's a good group with us. So today, we just wanted to provide some insight to the hiring and recruiting process at Organic Valley. So as far as what we have, just a really brief overview of who we are, where we're situated in the Driftless region, and then Caitlin is going to cover more detail around application, process, cover letter, specifics that we kind of brainstorm as a group that we wanted to share. So.
All right, so a quick introduction. I'm Caitlin Goldberg. I'm the HR generalist for our production facilities. I have been in HR for about 10 years now. I went to Alverno College in Milwaukee, graduated in 2009. I have a bachelor's in business management, so long ago now, and adult education and professional communication are my minors. So from there, I've been in a couple of different industries, finance, and then healthcare, and then finally manufacturing, which brought me up to the Driftless area. And that's where I found my position just March of 2019. I started at OV, and since then have been working with our production facilities in Chaseburg, Cashton, and Viroqua.
Hi, everyone. My name's Caitlin Fritch. I'm a recruitment coordinator here at Organic Valley. I have my hands in a little bit of all the roles, but right now my main focus on the recruitment side is the production and distribution facilities. As far as schooling goes, I actually got my associate's degree from Western in business management. Then I went off to the University of Wisconsin-La Crosse for my bachelor's in business management as well, with an emphasis in human resources. I've been with Organic Valley the last 5 years. Started off there in accounting, moved my way over to sales and trade management, and now I'm in human resources. So I grew up local to the area, so it was really important to me to work for a company that had such a strong mission and dedication to supporting rural communities.
I'm Danny Tailor. I joined the co-op in March of 2018, so coming up on an anniversary soon. It went by very quick. I went to school at Western as well. I got my associate's degree in business management in 2015. So I saw Shannon was on the call as well. Hi, Shannon. Had some of your classes. So I'm a recruitment coordinator now. I took the unconventional route to HR, I guess. I started out in trade promotions, actually on Caitlin Fritch's team, and found a opportunity that really aligned, where I wanted to be. Work with a lot of different folks across the co-op. I'm learning new stuff all the time. So a lot of what we do in the recruitment process is really assist our hiring managers in the screening and interview process, and just make their lives a little easier. So a lot of touch points across the co-op for us. So thought it would be nice just to provide a brief overview of who we are. So we were founded in Vernon County, just the next county over, in 1988. And if any of you have seen, any of our marketing videos, or are familiar with our story, there was a really huge farming crisis in the 80s, and a group of farmers got together, wanted to change the way that farmers were treated and paid, and ultimately founded this idea of crop cooperatives. So today, the farmers own the cooperative. They manage the cooperative as well on a high level. So our board of directors, they're all farmers. Our CEO reports to them. At the root of everything that we do, we're here to support our family farms and make sure that they can maintain a successful and maintain a sustainable pay price as well. So here's our mission. I won't spend a whole lot of time on here, but it's on our website as well, just for the sake of time. And then high level, just a couple things that we wanted to point out about Crop Cooperative is our unique culture. So again, if anybody's been on site for a tour, you probably know what we're talking about. But we do have a lot of content around that on our career site as well.
As Danny talked about, all of our facilities are in rural areas. We have 2 office locations, our headquarters in Lafarge, and then we have another office location in Cashton as well. We have 2 other facilities in Cashton, our distribution center, which is the warehouse that holds all of our product, and everything is shipped and received out of there. Our conversion and labeling facility is where all of our cheese products are cut. And we also produce ghee there as well, which is a clarified butter. For people that aren't familiar with ghee, it's kind of a unique product. We have 2 creameries, one located in Chaseburg, Wisconsin here. And then we also own a facility out in McMinnville, Oregon. We had the opportunity to purchase that as they were a previous producer of ours. So that was exciting to expand our facilities. Our farmers aren't just located here in the Midwest. We have over 1,800 cooperative family farms throughout the country. Since we have such a broad, network here, it provides us the opportunity to provide fresh milk to our producers all over the country instead of just having to ship from the Midwest. And fun fact, if you are interested in where one of our family farms is, you can go to our website. We have a cool feature where you can type in your zip code and it'll tell you who the closest organic valley farmer is to you. High level overview of the different departments here that we have at the cooperative. As you'll see, there's some unique departments that you might not see at other organizations, like cafe services, dairy production planning, and sustainability. This just shows that there's a substantial amount that goes into sorry about that. That goes into providing support for our family farms and running a smooth operation.
sorry, mute again. Now that you all know a little bit more about Organic Valley, and you are thinking to yourself, wow, this sounds like just an amazing company. How do I get a job there? Let me tell you. So our application process starts out at our website. I know it's cheesy. What are you going to do? With our website, you can go to ov.coop/jobs. It'll bring you to this page down below that you're seeing. It has a list of all our positions that we have available. You have local positions. We have remote positions where you can work from home. And then we also have positions all over the nation. So sales managers and things like that. You can get a position, wherever you're at. So that's a really exciting thing about OV as well, is you don't have to stay just in this local area. You can branch out. So as a recruiter, what are we looking for when you apply to that position? Obviously, we had talked about just recently with Christine. Oh, sorry, the lights just moved here. With Christine, of course, I'm in the office. She had talked to you about a cover letter, as well as, give me a minute here. Oh, there we go. All right, I just had to stand up. Goodness gracious. A cover letter, as well as a resume that's designed specifically for the position you're applying for. So part of that is going to be, she explained it, why do you feel you're qualified for the role? Give us examples of things that you've done in the past, as well as, why do you want to work for Organic Valley? That's a big thing that we look at when we're going through cover letters and resumes is, what is your drive to work for a position or for an organization like ours? Explaining any employment gaps or location changes is also helpful for us to know in the cover letter. If you're applying for a position in Chaseburg and your last location was in Milwaukee, I'm gonna ask, okay, do you know where you're applying? Do you know it's in Chaseburg? A cover letter will explain to me that, yeah, you're moving to the location and you want to find a position before you get there. So that's a really big piece of the cover letter, is kind of helping explain, your employment and your location and things that the recruiter might not know from just looking at your resume. Another big thing is mission alignment. So with that, it's not going to be a deal killer if you don't have any sort of drive for our mission. But one really cool thing is, if you had grandparents while you were growing up that had a dairy farm or a vegetable producer or whatever it is, making sure that you put that in your resume shows that you were able to review Organic Valley as an employer. You know what's important to them. Family farms is a big one, and being able to show that you, have some passion for that sort of thing is a big thing for us. With your resume, just make sure, like Christine said, the format is clear, easy to read. You tailor it to the specific position you're applying for. It shows what you've done in the past and how that would relate to this position you're applying for. A big thing is including, your education history, even if you haven't finished with your degree yet, saying where you're at and, what projects you've led are big things for us to see that you're active and interested in. One thing is a professional email address. I'm not going to not look at your resume if your email address is, Budweiser Rocks 345@gmail.com, but it will detract a little bit. WTC, I'm sure, has an email system that they give you an email and you can use that. Or, just your first dot last name, another email is an easy one to do. And then your career services office will help you with this next step. Proofread. It's not going to, again, be a huge deal killer, but it shows that, you've got attention to detail. If your resume is immaculate and has everything spelled the correct way and there's no big grammatical errors. So, all right. So now that you have an amazing resume and cover letter, what happened after you apply for that position here at Organic Valley? Once we get your resume or your application, we'll review it, make sure that what you put down makes sense to the position that you're applying for. We'll read through your cover letter to make sure, we know everything about you that we possibly can. If we decide that you're a good fit, we'll give you a call or send you an email for a phone screen. So if you get that call and you're in the middle of a different work shift, don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm working right now. Can we schedule a different time? Because that's definitely okay with us. We want to make sure it's convenient for you and us. So we'll schedule a time right then and there, and you can finish your shift and then we'll call later. So that's definitely okay. The more communication you can give to us, the better it is for us to work with you here. So once we do the phone screen, we decide you're a good candidate. The next step would be to do a phone or video interview.
We're cool.
with the hiring supervisor. So with that, they'll go through more detailed description of the role itself. They'll go over the specific questions of the position itself. They'll ask more situational based questions, tell me about a time that this happened to you and how did you react? Those type of questions. So it's good to prepare some of those ahead of time. In person or a video interview with a hiring team is most likely going to be next for our positions. It's really common here at Organic Valley to pull the whole team together to see, if you're going to be a good fit with the group. You'll be working with or interviewing possibly with other managers of other areas because you'll have a stake in their area of the business as well. The next step after that is going to be, if we decide you're a good fit and we want to make you an offer, we have an approval process we go through, and we go through a wage recommendation. Then we present the offer to the candidate and you hopefully accept. Yay. And then we do all of our pre-employment stuff. So we go through start date, when would it be available for you to start? Do you need to give a 2 weeks notice? If it's a safety sensitive position, we would ask that you do some pre-employment screening, which includes a drug screen as well as a pre-employment physical. Some of our positions do have those that are required. And then from there, once we have those cleared, then you get all of your start date information and we get you in and trained. All right. So then some interviews at Organic Valley, just a few things that we wanted to take note on. If you do an in-person interview, a lot of times the HR and supervisor are going to arrive early. So you just make sure that you also are arriving early. And definitely research the company as well, because at Organic Valley, we've got a pretty laid back atmosphere. We don't have a big dress code. So, be comfortable in what you're wearing, because that's going to, help you do a great job in the in-person interview. We'll give you an overview of our benefit package as well as the role that you're in. So again, we'll talk through any questions that you have at that time based on the job description. We're going to ask all of the candidates that go through this process the same questions, just so we're comparing apples to apples. We are going to take notes during the interview. So if we stop talking and you stop talking and we're taking notes, don't be afraid of that silence. It's just us taking notes so that we remember what you said and we can review later on. Then you get to ask whatever questions you have at that time. It's really important to, review the job description, review the company, ask any questions that you have at that time, because that's going to show that you're interested in the company and the position and you want to know more about it. Even if it's a silly question like, what do you guys do on Fridays or anything like that? We do really like to hear that you're, interested in our culture and our business and the position. From there, we're going to share the next steps with you, if it's another interview or, if we're going to be making our decision from that interview. From there, we'll give you a tour of the facility. Depending on which facility you're at, you'll be able to see the cafe that we have, the gym that we have, and we have some pretty fun meeting rooms as well.
Caitlin, I just wanted to back up a little bit too. It seems like, the theme of this session is, resume and cover letter. But as you are submitting your application materials, it is definitely okay, and I think appreciated, at least for me, if I get a follow-up call, even if it's, hey, have you received it? Or I just wanted to express my interest again. That is always appreciated, and I know that at least I remember those calls, and I think it shows initiative and that you're really engaged in the opportunity.
Yep. And Danny, to your point, if we have 15 applicants for the position, we've reviewed all the resumes, but I get a call from someone, I'll relook at that resume again and say, oh, you're on the phone now. I've got time now. Let's do a quick phone screen and see if we can move you to the next step. So it does open up a lot of opportunities if you do call.
Yeah.
Yep, it helps you stand out.
Yeah. It's not annoying. Don't worry.
No.
Also, just another tip too, I think it's worked well for applicants. If they, contact the recruiter and they ask, who is the hiring manager? And would you be able to share that information? Because sometimes on our end, on the recruiting end of it, it's crickets for a while until we hear back from the hiring manager who they want to move forward with. And I think it doesn't hurt to make those connections as an applicant, and just ask for that contact information if it's okay to introduce yourself, or even if you get the name, find them on LinkedIn. I know that was mentioned earlier. So great tool to make those connections. So I know we're at time before Q&A, but I just wanted to mention internships in general, even if not at OV, great way to really apply skills that you've learned in school, and does I think help you stand out and build your resume for future full-time positions. Apprenticeships are popular as well, but internships are great. I always like to see those on resumes, especially if it's a student right out of school. I know school in itself is a lot to balance at once, and everybody's home life looks different, but if there's an internship or apprenticeship completed, I think that's a plus. So where to find us after today? We're all on LinkedIn, so add us if you have questions, or if there's any other tips that you need, or we're available. So don't be strangers. But yeah, with that, we're right at 12:45. So any questions, or was there anything in the chat?
Yes,
I would say there was
Danny,
a
this is
few.
Stephanie, there's quite a few questions that we have here, so bear with me, everybody on the call. I want to make sure that we get those questions answered. And thank you, Organic Valley, for joining us today, and thank you, Eric and Chris, for joining us today. This has been really great, and I appreciate everybody's flexibility with this online format of this event. We will have this recorded, or this is recorded, so we will post it on the website. Same location, same Get That Job location that has been advertised. So you can look for it there under the alumni tab. But quickly, we have a few questions that I want to make sure we get answered. The first one is, and this can maybe be directed to our Organic Valley, or maybe Chris, you might want to pop in here too. It says, what do you recommend for those that are feeling defeated in the job search process due to the current economic situation with limited job availability?
I can jump in there. I feel like, if there aren't as many positions that, you're truly interested in right away, there are positions, especially at Organic Valley here, and I've done it in my past, found a position that, I can work at for a little while to get me into the company that I want to work at. It might not be your dream job now, but applying for positions, we've got a ton of production positions, administrative assistant positions, things like that might not be the exact, dream job. But getting your name out there and applying for things that you might not want to live in forever, but will get you into a wonderful company. Especially at OV, we've got a great a training program. We've got programs where you can go and shadow a department if you're interested in it. So I guess that would be my suggestion, at least for OV.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I would also say, especially if you're interested in a particular company, keep applying there. I applied at Organic Valley multiple times before I even got an interview. So don't be afraid to apply more than once.
Excellent, thank you. The next question is, and I believe, Caitlin, you covered this a little bit in your portion of the presentation, but for those that have a gap in employment, what should they do to stand out on their resume, especially those that are older?
Yeah, explaining those gaps. I mean, everybody knows life happens, and that's why we have the cover letter, and you can, kind of go over a little bit of your employment history, and explain any gaps there. That's super helpful for me, especially, as a mom. I get, taking some time off to be with kids, and I know that's, sometimes harder than actual, position. So, not being afraid to, put that stuff out there. And letting people know, you took some time off for whatever reason, that's going to be the easiest thing, instead of us just assuming, you didn't want work. So
I'd say, just to piggyback off that, if there are gaps, just be honest. Why? I'm sure, in certain circumstances you can't share everything, but I think it just makes you a little more relatable as a candidate, a little more real sounding if there's things going on, or a season that you had in your life, and re-entering the workforce, whatever it is. It's just nice to kind of connect the dots, and does address any gaps in employment, just being honest.
Thanks, Danny and Caitlin. Eric, I think this one is a little more focused to you. This says, for someone that does not have a Facebook or Twitter, is there an advantage to having a social media presence for potential employers to view and screen?
Yeah, and I think Donovan had actually privately messaged me too, but I'll
Okay.
answer it kind of
Sure.
for everyone, because I think it is a good point. And I told Donovan that I feel like Facebook and Twitter are more for personal use. If you choose not to use those, I don't think there's any reason why you would need to have an account just for looking for jobs. I think a LinkedIn account, and maybe others can chime in here too, I think a LinkedIn account is really important for a personal brand, as a professional. So I think, if anything, if you were to have any social media accounts, if social media is truly not your thing, if there's one account that you should have with regards to the job search, it would have to be LinkedIn. And I think, as I mentioned in the presentation, just being an extension of your resume, and kind of a way to kind of show content that you can't show maybe in a resume or cover letter.
Great, thank you. This is from Alyssa, and it's directed to Organic Valley. Does your company consider time off work to go to school as a gap in employment? Could that negatively affect a person's chances of getting a management position with their company? Would you expect a person in this situation to get more recent basic job experience before you would directly hire them into a management role? So in summary, I feel like that's just in completion of an employment or school, would you hire them directly into a management role, is what I'm getting from that.
yeah, and I guess it would depend on, the experience that you had before education, what type of education you had. For that, I would, if I were you, I would highlight, what you did in your education. So what projects you had run, or what you had done there that, would show your skills. I don't think it would negatively impact you if you got a degree that was very similar to what we were looking for, or what we were looking for, and then had experience. I don't know if right away into a management role. It's just going to depend on what area and what they're looking for, and your background. So it's kind of hard to say like yes or no for sure, but it definitely wouldn't be an employment gap. It would be, that's your job, going to school at that point, and we all have gone to school and we get it. So.
Thank you. Brandon asked, what soft skills are most important to employers when looking to hire potential candidates?
Ooh, I'm going to jump in real quick, guys. Sorry, I'm talking a lot. I would say communication. So one of the big things that we've recently been seeing at Organic Valley is, people that have applied for jobs, but then all of a sudden they ghost you for one reason or another. You found another job, or, something happens in your life that you're just like, okay, I can't go for a new position right now. The more you communicate with us, the better you're going to just come off as, we know what happened, we understand, things happen, but just let us know so we know you're not, dead in the side of the road somewhere. We're concerned about you, especially if we go through the whole process. Definitely communication, I think, is a really big one.
Perfect, thank you. Christine, I think Shannon had answered your question, but I'm just going to read it aloud to everyone and see if there's a recommendation just from professional experience. I was recently hired as a grocery store manager at a local grocery store. I graduated at the end of the semester. Could I request a higher pay simply because I have earned my associate's degree in business management? So as a result of completing education, is she eligible to ask for a higher wage? Thoughts on that?
I can tell everyone that there are a lot of books on salary negotiation and a lot of good advice out there. And we even did, I think for 3 years in a row, we did a salary negotiation workshop. So there's a lot to learn about salary negotiation. I'd encourage you to pick up a book or two.
Thanks, Chris.
Mhm.
This is from Astrid. I have never been to a job fair. What should I expect? What questions should I ask? And what should I bring with?
Sure. So we are in career fair season, although I'll be attending from my
Virtually.
home office.
Virtually.
Yeah. So what to prepare? Elevator pitch. Is that the right term? Really just, just briefly, when you stop by an employer booth, let them know about yourself, maybe what program you're in at school and what you're looking for. If you're looking for an internship or a full-time role, and then that, kind of gives the recruiter something to work with, like, okay, business management. Yeah, we have, some marketing opportunities, or tell me more about your business management interests. So be prepared just to, be conversational. Resumes are great to have. I always collect them at job fairs. Cover letters aren't necessary at that time. Just I would ask the recruiter at the booth how to stay connected or how to apply if there's something that they spoke about that really piques your interest. So I've gained a lot of LinkedIn connections after job fairs, and we post. I know a lot of organizations post their jobs on LinkedIn, so your connections will see those right away as well. Hope that.
Thank you. Question regarding photos. Should photos be included in resumes?
I would say no.
Okay.
I've seen
Yeah.
them.
I would agree.
I was going to say, I've seen both. I don't think it's necessary to have one.
Okay, thank you. One of my previous job experiences is for a company that closed its local location and the division has since moved to another company. How do you convey this, especially on an application that is specifically asking for a web address and phone number, and the web won't let you continue without it? I guess my recommendation would be to put the overarching, headquarter office address in that spot if the division is closing. But maybe Danny, you'd be able to better answer that since you have folks applying from different locations as well.
Yeah, so the question was, what happens if a previous employer is no longer, or they get acquired?
It's their
that correct?
division, like say their local division has closed, but the
Sure.
company still exists. How do they proceed with the address and website?
Yeah, I would put the headquarter location, and then maybe could disclose, whether it's in a phone call or somewhere on the cover letter, if there's something that that the recruiter would need to know. It doesn't seem like that would be necessary right away. That may be a question that we have later in the interview, is why are you looking, or what was your reason for leaving your previous employer? And then, that would be a good time to disclose more detail.
So I was the one that answered that or asked that question. The parent company has actually sold off that division as well. So I'm not sure if they transfer records of employment and et cetera, like that.
Yeah, I would think a headquarter facility would have all that.
And if nothing else, you have to put something in the blank. So you put an explanation in there.
Chris, this one I think is for you. Recommendation on how long the cover letter should be. Word count, paragraph count. I don't know if you have any stats on that, but
I
my
don't
experience
have-
has been a 1 page.
Right. And I don't have a word count or a paragraph count. It's more about keeping it to 1 page, really.
Organic Valley, since you have a lot of internships, are you ever too old for an internship? Looking to change careers from healthcare to blank after completing my MBA?
No, I think on all of our internship postings, it said within 1 year or less from graduation. That's, in the event that the internship was awesome and there's a full-time offer potentially following the internship is why we kind of keep that target in mind. Just that you're nearing or within a year from graduation.
Thank you. I know we're at time, but I'd like to kind of buzz through a couple more questions if everybody's okay with that.
Good.
I have another question about, do I need to have an objective on my resume?
Do you want me to take that one? It's not
Sure.
absolutely necessary. In fact, Career Services at Western recommends that you don't put an objective unless it's very specific, like if it's stating what department you want to be working in. Specifics is okay, but if your objective is going to be very, very general, it's better if you just have a cover letter and leave out the objective, because it takes up space on your resume, space that you could use to write about your skills and abilities.
Thanks, Chris. Organic Valley, this one's for you. And I think you briefly mentioned this, but is there a way to follow future career openings at Organic Valley? I know your website is one, and LinkedIn, I think you also mentioned. Are there any others that you want to highlight for folks on the phone?
We recently just started posting some positions on Facebook as well.
Yep.
So that's available too, but it's always good to follow our social media sites just so you can see what we're up to, as well as, you would kind of get a sneak peek on what positions that we might post out there too. So it's not all of them. I would definitely have you go to our website first. But if you happen to, add us on Facebook, you can see those too.
Great, thank you. General thoughts on putting your school GPA on your resume?
As long as your GPA is a 3.5 or over, it's something that you can be proud enough to put on your resume. That's our general rule. I don't know if Organic Valley has another opinion.
I think that would be just fine. Honestly, I don't really ask. If I see that the degree is on the resume, that's good enough for my process. But good grades are
Yes, good grades are always a plus, but never a requirement.
Here's another one for Organic Valley. How much of an advantage does somebody that is older with education and experience have over someone that is right out of college that would fit all soft skills and any requirements that do not pertain to work experience?
I think that would depend on the position that you're applying for. Somebody who has education and experience, is going to be a good fit too, but it also really depends on the culture and the personality and, you know, how you fit with the mission and vision of our organization. So I think all of those kind of need to be in line for us to, you know, be able to get you into a position. But I feel like everybody's, you know, going to get reviewed in the overall scheme of things. And then, you know, we'll pick the right person who fits in best with their experience and education and skills and all that stuff. So.
Thank you. You answered this a little bit earlier, but are there any soft skills that you look for when looking through applicants? You mentioned communication being your top priority, but also in addition to that, Maggie is asking, what makes candidates stand out to you?
That's a good one. So, you know, we talked about communication, but also, you know, having a solid work history, specific soft skills. You know, if you're applying for an IT role and you've, you know, taken classes for, you know, specific systems or websites or like Microsoft Office or whatever. So that's kind of skills there would be something important. But then also like the soft skills of like proofreading and communication and your grammar, those kind of are good. And then what Danny said too, you know, I feel like, you know, if you have that follow-up call, that shows that you're not afraid of, you know, talking on the phone and communicating with people. And that's another big one, you know, taking that initiative is another one that makes those candidates stand out to us.
Perfect, thank you. Two more questions left. This is from Chris. As a person with hearing loss, I have been struggling with the wearing of masks, as I particularly rely on lip reading. Occasionally I run into somebody that, even though I've asked them to speak up, either continue to talk quietly or revert back to talking quietly. What can I do in this situation? My recommendation, Chris, would just be to ask them again to speak up. I know it seemed frustrating, but
I'm thinking.
that I think all of us need to remember that we're wearing masks more all the and that is I know I feel like I find myself talking even louder than I normally would because of the mask on them. So I think it's totally appropriate to just ask them to speak up again. Anyone else?
I agree with that. I would just, you know, this is such a hard time. I think all of us just need to be a little bit more patient and flexible with the situation.
Okay, and finally, Shannon asked, how are you navigating the career fair in the online environment with the inability to collect resumes and interact with individuals?
So I would say right now, a lot of the career fairs are using a system called Handshake, or is it Danny? Is it Handshake?
Handshake, yeah.
Right term.
That's,
Yeah,
Yeah, it is Handshake.
what
Okay.
all of them are on that I've been on.
So you can schedule specific one-on-one times with the recruiter that's there for that specific organization, which I think is huge. It just gets a nice one-on-one conversation. And it's nice because in a career fair, you have all that background noise and you're like trying to see people and do things and talk. So I really think that Handshake is nice because you have that one-on-one dedicated time with that individual, but then there's also the group calls that they have so that you can join a whole group and you don't have to be one-on-one. You can just listen in and ask whatever questions you have at that time. So I think Handshake has done a phenomenal job. And then I always tell people, you know, if you're interested in whatever position, let me give you the name and email address of our recruiter and you can email them your resume. Or, you know, here's their name, connect with them on LinkedIn. That's another big thing that we have been utilizing now in this online environment.
And the link to Handshake is right on the Career Services webpage, students.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to add about the virtual career fair is I think it's a great opportunity right now for students or job seekers to really get in and schedule those one-on-one times, because reality is at a career fair, it's loud. There's a lot of people. You talk to 50 plus students in the day. Online career fair, I think the latest one we have 20 or 15 slots, and those are 10-minute one-to-one times. So I would almost go in treating those times as a mini interview. Just from experience, just kind of reflecting on this question, we hired 2 interns recently who attended one-to-one sessions with me at recent career fairs, and I think it helped me connect early with them, and you know, I would just suggest anybody looking at upcoming career fairs to really be prepared and you know, look good and just be ready to kind of just dive in for 10 minutes. It hasn't been awkward yet, but yeah, it's different.
Everything's different these days. Well, thank you to all of my presenters for joining us today and providing us with some great information about how to set yourself apart. And thank you to everybody that joined the call to learn a little bit more about this process. We will have the second part of this webinar series next Tuesday, February 16th at 12 p.m., 12 to 1 again. And part 2 is going to focus on the interviewing process and how to set yourself apart and provide the most appropriate answers to questions that employers are looking for. So we will have another local professional come in and join that presentation. So I hope those that were able to join today are also able to join next week. And if you have any other questions, you can feel free to email me directly at knutsons@westerntc.edu. Otherwise, we will you can email me any questions and I can have, send those out to presenters as needed. But I wanted to thank you all for being here today and for joining us. And I really, really appreciate it.